Hello team, today's challenge is Spellcaster, where we're given a list of spells that we would like to cast, the letter that matches this code, and we need to tally up the points, the total points, for all the spells that we cast. There are some rules in here about a multiplier, so if we change the category, we get a multiplier if we change it up, right? From a destruction type to a control type to a restoration type, we get to slowly multiply the benefits of that score, which is pretty cool. So with all that, this I had to look back through my notes because this feels very similar to this challenge, right? The Earth Day cleanup crew, where we had again a list of items with a point value, and based on that, we were allowed to add extra points. Today we're multiplying. Before it was adding, and we will be doing pretty much the same thing, right? We'll be setting it up. We'll be going through a loop, and then we will be outputting our total. It all starts with that data though, and we are not using this data. We are using the data over here. So let's go and grab that. I'm going to take all of this because I'm assuming it's coming from like an API or something, right? So we're always going to get little extra bits, even though we aren't using the spell name today, right? We probably still get it. So we'll work around that. Over here, I'm going to set up my lookup. I'm going to spell it right, just like this. Look up, just like this. And let's use a map today, right? I like maps. You could use an object if you want. Some of your code will be different, but not that much, right? Right here, we have all this good stuff. And inside of here are a whole bunch of tabs. You can see those little arrows in there, the hidden characters. If you try to just grab this tab, it will grab everything. That's not going to help us right now, right? We want to do it item by item. So my advice is to grab this quote and the tab, which gives you a little bit more control in getting all of this if you're using multiple cursors, at which point you can use the arrow key to jump, select it again, and add that comma space, okay? From here, we're going to wrap all of this, the remaining bit, into an object, okay? And then we're going to arrow key back, at which point we can start giving these property names. This is going to be name, which is a colon. We can grab this. It's going to be quotes. Jump into the end. Jumping too far there. There is a tab character here, right? So we need to get rid of that now. That's going to be a comma space, at which point we go, I'm going to call this type. They use different names, but we can name these whatever we want, right? So type feels better to me, which means that that's what I'm going to go with, okay? Again, grabbing this whole word, wrapping it up, jumping to the next thing. There's another tab character here, so comma space, and this one is value, okay? At which point we pretty much have it. We need to jump to the end, select the whole line, all these individual lines, wrap them in square brackets because that's what the map is looking for. And then one more time, all the way to the far end where we add a comma. And I missed it, all the way to the end, comma. There it is, okay? That way we have our keys, which are the letters, and all this information coming through. Again, it might be coming through as an object, right? As a JSON object. So you might do it a little bit different. But today, this is how I'm going to set up the data, which means that I can use it down here, okay? So let total equal 0, right? And that's what we're outputting. We can go and replace this right now. The next one will be our multiplier. So let multiplier equal 1, okay? And then we drop into our loop. So for let I equal 0, right? We're going to iterate over that string of letters. So it's going to be I less than spells.length, just like this, and I++, pretty standard stuff. And then we are into it. And we need to know, first off, the information from our lookup, okay? So for that, we're going to get that object, right? We only really care about the type and the value. The name is just coming along for the ride, so we can ignore that, right? That's going to be here. Because I'm using a map, I'm going to do lookup, just like this, .get, and that's going to be on spells, I, okay? So again, we don't need to split the string because we're using a standard loop. We can just reach in and grab that piece, right? Pretty simple stuff. We also need to know the previous value, okay? And sorry, not the value, but just the type. We can't really call it type because we've already used that. So let's call it previous type, right? That seems like a better name. At which point we go in here and change this to -1, right? So we're getting the previous one. The challenge here is that what if we're at the very start of the string and we subtract 1, there's nothing there, it's undefined, right? Well, if we try to get anything off of undefined, it's going to throw up errors, okay? In order to solve that, we use some nullish coalescing, right? And pass in an empty object, which means that now if we don't get anything, if this doesn't exist, then previous type will be undefined, which is perfect, right? That leads to our next step, which is the multiplier, okay? So multiplier, just like this, we're going to set that equal to what? Well, if our types, type and previous type, are different, then we add 1 to the multiplier, which gets multiplied to the value, which gets added to the total, which gets sent out the door, right? That sounds very complicated, but pretty easy to set it up. Right here, we just test previous type and previous type, just like this, not equals type. Brilliant. Do I have a spelling mistake? No, it was just acting up early, okay? We need to test if previous type exists, right? Because it will be undefined, and whatever the current type is will always not equal undefined. We don't want to increment the counter right at the start. So previous type here, we check it, and then we do the thing. So right here, multiplier, if I could spell it, multiplier plus 1. Otherwise, it's just 1. We reset it back to 1, okay? With that, there's a small thing in here where we've already set it to 1, and in the first iteration of this loop, we will reset it to 1. A little bit of interesting quirk there, but it's not going to hurt anything. So we'll let it go, okay? But from here, we tallied up. So this is the final bit where we go value times multiplier. And I keep wanting to misspell that. There it is. And it works, okay? All this, right? We get that type, we get the value, we compare it against the previous type. If the previous type and the current type are different, right? If previous type exists, but if previous type and current type are different, then we get a little bit of a bonus, right? Otherwise, we don't. And because it's 1, it's always just going to multiply out to its current value, which is great. Which means that we can tally that up and send it out the door, right? The hardest part of this really is setting up this data. And if you had done it with an object, it's all pretty much the same thing, but instead of using gets, you're just doing direct access using square brackets. So pretty straightforward, right? That's it for today. That's the whole thing. And I did run a test. So here's our current code. I also ran one with recursion and found out that it's only about 100,000 ops per second slower, right? It's still well over 1 million ops per second. So if you like recursion, you could have done it that way as well. And I'm sure there are other ways because not every solution, just hopefully one good solution, right? That's what we go for today. So here it is. Let me know what you think of all this. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you go a completely different way? Share all that stuff in the comments. I want to see it. Otherwise, today this has been Spellcaster, and I will see you tomorrow.